Uh,
Why does it always call me Lord Fondleberries?
because that's what you said its name.
Yeah, but I mean, every time?
All right, welcome to our new iteration of the podcast. I think so. Um, for those of you who are listening on the Beat Cops Guide, we are rebranding the podcast and calling it Jeremiah Creek. So look for Jeremiah Creek in all your podcast platforms, and I'm going to upload this to the Beat Cops Guide for the next couple of weeks so that people know to change. But and if you're watching this on YouTube, then you're the only one. So uh,
I look like a gnome.
I am, yeah. You're entering the beard phase of your vacation, apparently.
Yeah, I look like an aspiring gnomish lighthouse keeper. Like I'm not an actual lighthouse keeper, but it's for little gnome boats out there somewhere.
And I'm
I'm
David
not.
Haynes, and that's Bull Garlington, who looks like a gnome. Should plant him on somebody's front lawn and see what happens.
That's what I'm cut out for, really.
All right, so it's been a couple
I
weeks
feel
since
like
we
it.
gotten together. Uh,
Yeah, I've been kind of busy. Uh, let's just say I was on a sudden vacation, an unexpected vacation in the land of my birth in Alabama, and
Abalama.
yep, ate some really good food, cooked some amazing meals, and had a great time with my people down there.
Introduced
They
them to
made
the
me
wearing of shoes and
sure. You keep going to that. Um, they gave me some cool stuff for my hat, so I now have the coolest hat in the world. And
I have the coolest hat. We can talk about hats in a little bit. I have the coolest hat.
well, when it comes to time to talk about hats, you will eat your shorts because I'm cooler. But what are we going to talk about first? What is this new show that we're doing?
All right, so all right, you know what? The reason we got together down in the mountains of Tennessee a few weeks ago and
Talk about
uh,
shoes.
spent a terrifying 10 hours driving. We almost got into an accident on a road trip. And while we were doing that, we started discussing, what we want the podcast to be. We have been sort of when we started the Beat Cops Guide, we were doing a lot of food related stuff. We had written a book. I was doing the radio show. You and I were speaking. We were doing food debates,
Yeah,
and we were having a lot of fun. And probably 75% of what we were talking about and doing was food related. And the title of the book was The Beat Cops Guide to Chicago Eats. And so that's why, oops, sorry about that. That's why we decided to call it The Beat Cops Guide.
but that's not where we
Now,
started, though.
that's when we started the podcast.
Oh, that's true.
And
That's true.
uh, so then the pandemic hit. We all the speaking engagements dried up, and as we've come out of the pandemic, we haven't really put any effort into pushing it. We didn't finish the second edition of the book. Um, so it's gone down to basically whenever we do a podcast, we're sort of aimlessly drifting and talking about food maybe 10% of the time. And so we started discussing where are we in life and what do we want the podcast to be.
We need filler music right now, like mood music
All
for this.
right. Do you want to talk about what you think the podcast should be, or should we just, do you want me to keep my
I you
recap?
know
And you can tell me
I
where I'm
think
wrong.
no, you keep going and I'll tell you where you're wrong.
All right. So while we were driving down back and forth to Tennessee, we started discussing, kind of what we want to talk about. And basically, we are guys in our mid 50s, lucky enough to be. I mean, I'll be retired in 6 months. We just got pushed back a month. Damn it! But we can talk about that
Damn
in a
it.
minute. But we got, we're lucky enough to be able to do what we want to do in our mid 50s. And there's not a lot of podcasts out there for guys in their mid 50s who have fun hobbies and like to play on the computer. It's all this, basically bullshit kid stuff. And so we wanted to come up with a podcast that is directed towards essentially older people, not old people, but older than the millennials. Well, are we millennials? No, we're
No, you're a
well,
millennial.
our kids are millennials. We're the end of Gen X, and so people to our people that can remember the fact that there's payphones on every corner. People that can remember when the president gave the State of the Union address, your night was screwed because he was on every damn channel.
That's
You
right.
know, uh, people who remember sitting there and watching the Super Bowl on TV with their fathers and whatever. So people of our age and so we decided to call it Jeremiah Creek, after our mentor
And founder.
and founder, who will if we can find him, he's living off the grid, but we'll try and find him and he'll make an appearance.
He's an adventurer. He's a man who's tuned into the zeitgeist. Uh, he's gallant. He's a gadfly. He's uh, the kind of guy that can trek across the tundra and come out the other side with a finished novel and a brand new composition. And see, he's a Renaissance man. That's what
Right,
he is.
the kind of guy who starts off in northern Alaska and drives the Pan American Highway all the way down to Tierra del Fuego. That kind of guy. He's
Yeah, and when he arrives, he's in a car with the president of Argentina, Johnny Depp, and an alien named George.
right. I think it's Paul. No, George. Was it George?
George is his middle. He goes by George. It's his middle name. So
Yeah, George Ringo.
yeah, George Ringo, John
John
McCartney.
Paul.
Yeah, that's what he named himself. He thought it was Popes, but it was the Beatles. So, and by the way, you're Gen X. I'm a Boomer. I'm the last Boomer.
Oh yeah. That's right. I forgot.
So
All right.
technically, I'm your senior.
So what do you think? I
So,
mean, do you think that's a pretty fair statement, a pretty fair mission statement of what we're doing, or
yeah,
you have an opinion?
absolutely. I mean, it's basically taking the conversation we're having with each other all the time and with our friends and just putting it on a podcast. I mean, we're not going to be solving any murders, as far as I know. We're not
Well, yeah.
teaching you how to cook. Uh,
Well, I don't know.
we
I have an
might we might
idea.
give you we might give you marital advice, but it probably won't be good, and will be more for our own entertainment than for your benefit. And and also we're going to be a lifestyle brand. We're going to have merch,
Right.
t-shirts, hoodies,
I,
socks,
I
compression
would
socks,
like to get more into the my advice though.
adult diapers. Tell us about that.
The I still have the idea, and I'm putting this out there. So if anybody steals it, you owe me money. I think we should do a show that basically teaches men how to do all this, why it's important, and how to do all the stupid things that your wife wants you to do. Like, uh, I think the first episode should be making the bed, because I think most
Organizing a
guys
Tupperware.
but most guys believe that making the bed is, it's like tying your shoes after you take them off. What do you need to do that for?
Well, who ties their shoes after they take them off?
Nobody. That's my point.
Okay.
I mean, it's important that the bed gets made when you're getting into it, not when you're getting out of it. But
It's like taking a bath every day.
right.
I mean, come on. You know,
But my idea is to have a YouTube series where we discuss this, and then we demonstrate the proper way to make a bed, and we hire women in bikinis to assist us, and then we put a little thing on the bottom of the screen, not Dave's actual wife, not Bull's actual wife.
It's a reenactment. It's a
A
reenactment. These actors are portraying any resemblance to someone living or dead is an accident, and you can't sue us.
Right.
You know what? We should start with a segment though. All right, let's start with the segment, see how it goes. And the segment is about how to. It's kind of what you said, like how to get around that stuff, how to game that. All right, because otherwise your marriage is going to be tough, and your marriage is already game anyway. So we'll call it how to beat your wife.
I think that has different connotations. I don't think we should do that. We should.
No, it's
Uh,
perfectly clear what I'm talking about.
what's a synonym for beat in the terms of winning a
Batter.
game?
How to batter.
No.
How to how to fisticuffs with the misticuffs. No, that doesn't work.
We do not
Anyway,
we do not condone any spousal abuse. We
I mean I
understand
don't,
it.
but I'm
We understand it,
pretty
but we don't condone
pretty
it.
sure pretty sure all Annie's bruises from that
There's
fall.
a lot of times when I do food reviews and stuff, I do mention that this is a good time to give some advice to those younger married guys out there who are just starting out and who, you know, that a good pro tip would be not buying your wife a vacuum cleaner for Christmas. And if you did that
Yeah.
already, now is the time to make up for it at Valentine's Day because you've
Yeah.
obviously been having a rough
A
time.
vacuum cleaner is more like an Easter present, all right? Or you know, you don't want to ever. I did give my wife a bowling ball one time, but that's because she likes to bowl and I don't, and I was showing her support,
Yeah.
and then she never had holes drilled in it, so whatever.
I did give my wife a vacuum cleaner for Valentine's Day one year, but
Wow, and you're still married.
only because she asked for it. We went to pick it out. I took pictures and I had a video of her saying it wasn't. I put them on Facebook, and then but I still got her a romantic gift.
Did you put a bow around it?
No,
I
I don't
mean,
think so. I don't remember.
that's a missed opportunity right there.
I don't think so. All right. So that's our plan for the new iteration and if
Yeah.
anybody out there I mean, if anybody out there first of all wants to call in, I think on Spreaker we can do that. We'll have to figure out how to do that. But if you want to call in and or send us messages at I think we have an email, jeremiahcreek@gmail.com. Send
Oh,
us questions.
really?
I think we do.
News to me. News to me.
Or
So,
bcopsguide@gmail.com. Topics that you want us to talk about. And if, all right, we love the guy, but we have a very hard time getting a hold of Jeremiah. And if anybody out there knows where if you want to know what Jeremiah Creek is like, watch the movie Up. Where the old man
yeah,
fills his house with balloons and travels somewhere south. All right,
yeah.
Jeremiah Creek is like the guy that's living down there with his Zeppelin trying to discover some animal. He's that kind of
Yep.
guy. Yeah.
And great comfort. And the thing is, his communiques with us are all faxed in, which is just first of all to have to go get a fax machine is a pain in the butt. But it's like, couldn't you just email us? But nope, none of that stuff works. So everything's
Right.
faxed in from wherever he's at, and it's blurry and it's stupid. And
It's untraceable.
I can say those things because he doesn't listen to our podcast.
Well, he may. We don't know yet. Now that we're
Yeah,
naming
actually,
him,
yeah, we don't. Yeah,
he
who
might search
knows?
it out.
Who knows, man? I think of all the things we're going to talk about. I think, um, in seriousness, that one of the things that you and I are doing is um, we're doing things we've always wanted to do. And and I don't see a lot of these things as hobbies, so much, or even a bucket list. It's got to be another way to explain what it is. But there's just, there's certain things that we're going to be doing in the next couple of years, either separately or together, that I think are pretty cool. At some point, I'm going to ride in the sidecar on your motorcycle, even though I'm currently terrified of the idea of it. I don't. I'm pretty sure you're going to kill me, but on the other hand, it's a pretty expensive sidecar, so I've got that going for me.
Then you got to die
And
some way.
that's true. And I mean, I know I want to go solo travel at the end of this year, somewhere, and I've got, like this last month when I was in Alabama, and I was there, not alone, but my wife was still in Chicago, and I think that the adventures like that are in our future.
I hope so. I did find out I do. I have to retire a month later than I had planned. Um,
It's
I
going to
had
drive you
planned.
nuts during that month.
I
That
know.
month is going to be, it's not going to, you're not going to be productive.
Yeah, I was retiring very close to my anniversary date of when I started was the plan. And one of the things you do before you retire from the police department is you check and make sure how much time you actually have, because any suspension days, leave of absence, or whatever, they get removed from your pension fund. And I found out that I have 5 days of bad time, which means that I have to retire at the very least a week later. And since it's best to retire on the 15th of the month, I have to retire August 15th instead. So that annoyed the
Tennessee,
crap out
look
of me.
out.
That annoyed the crap out of me. I had plans for all of August.
No, I mean, just move them up to half of August and half of September. It's not like you got anything else going on, right?
Well, my kids got school.
I wonder if there is actually a creek in America somewhere named Jeremiah Creek. And if there's not, what do we have to do to name a creek?
I don't know. I have a creek that runs on my land in Tennessee. Maybe we can rename that.
Let's name it. Let's name it Jeremiah Creek. I think that would be really cool. So, do you want to hear my tobacco related news?
Sure.
Or was there something else we're going to talk about? I don't want to.
No, I mean not in general. I was
So, I
gonna
like
talk about.
to. No,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. It's a bad habit of mine. Stepping on when you talk. You were going to what now?
No, no, go ahead. We can talk about. I want to talk about chocolate, but we can talk about it after tobacco.
I, I was in Alabama for a month, and I took my pipes down there with me, and I smoked on the way. When you and I came back from Tennessee, and you drove, because I think you're afraid to let me drive.
Oh
And
no, if you want me to
there's,
explain why that is, why I did that, I'll explain
yes,
why.
you may
Because
do that now.
now it's fixed. I was afraid to let you
No.
drive because my driver's seat was broken. It didn't go forward or backward.
Oh,
Um, so it was a
yeah, that
little
would not have
uncomfortable for
worked. I'm
me.
shorter than you.
Right. And
Yeah.
I was worried that we would had to have raised it or done something and it wouldn't have gone back to where it was, which was barely tolerable for me. So
Oh.
I got that fixed now. So next time you can drive.
Well, I mean, we got back. You drove the entire way from Tennessee, which is a 10-hour drive. And except for the fact that we had to stop 987 times for me to go to the bathroom, we got home at 10 o'clock at night in Chicago, and I basically said hello to my wife. Actually, when I got out of your truck, I took my suitcase and just threw it in my truck, and then I went in the house and Colleen had done all my laundry, and I took that and threw it in my truck, and then I went to bed, and I woke up the next day at 5 and drove to Alabama, and so you and I smoked about 8 pounds of tobacco on the way back to Chicago. My tongue wasn't even working anymore. It was dry as it was a husk. But man, I was tired, and uh, and so I'm racing down towards Alabama, and I'm stopping constantly, and I'm pounding Starbucks and everything, and I'm just smoking like crazy, and I don't care. I'm not being neat or anything. My truck was a nightmare, but I ran out of tobacco, and so I get down to the place that I'm from in Alabama is very rural. It's very much like the secret town that you live in Tennessee. It's exactly the same size. In fact, it's a little smaller. It's out in the middle of nowhere like that. It's got some serious rural features and a lot of back roads that are curvy like that. So it's exactly the same thing. Um, and But they have a tobacco store. And I was like, there's no downtown, by the way. I mean, we don't even have a downtown there. My little town doesn't have a grocery store or anything like that. It has got a post office and a library and a body shop. Those are the businesses, and then a bunch of strange rural houses. But there's a tobacco shop. And I was like, I'd driven by it on other occasions, and I just, for some reason, part of me was like, it's not even real. Why even look at it? But this time I went in there, and it was all cigars, and vape stuff. But the people
Yeah.
were nice, and their setup was really nice. I mean, if I had wanted a cigar, it was nice the way it had it done. But I wanted pipe tobacco, and they didn't have anything except these very weird regional brands. And so I bought a tobacco called Sherman's March. And I was like, this is so on brand right now because here I am in Alabama, and I'm smoking Sherman's March. And it was a, it's a pretty good tobacco, but I mean, it's flavored, so, it burns a little and everything. And that's my story. I hope you liked it. I hope that's good. Here's the other thing that happened to me. I hope you don't mind me bogarting the podcast, but this has been bothering me. First of all, Dave, drink a lot of water and eat fiber because I can't deal with any more friends or family getting sick. The reason I was in Alabama is because two family members had cancer, and I went down there to help out. One was getting surgery, one was on treatment, and another family member that had been taking care of him was trying to finish classes and tests in school, and they were losing their mind. And so I went down there and I cooked and I cleaned and I napped and I helped out and everything. But while I was down there, like five of my friends called me with like serious. They were like, "Hey, I got to tell you that I've got this, or I've got this, or so and so died, or this," and I'm like, "That's enough." I'm
Well,
calling a moratorium in 2023. Nobody else that I know can get sick or injured or hurt or anything. I'm done with it. I
well,
need.
I this is probably a bad time to tell you. Then I'm overweight. Sorry, I have to tell you. I don't know if you noticed.
While I was down there, I was being so careful because when I hung out with you, I don't know if you realize this, but you and I didn't eat a lot
No,
during
we
that
didn't.
trip. We didn't eat a lot, and I lost weight while I was hanging out with you in Tennessee. And so when I went to Alabama. Um, my sister has like an apartment in her basement, and that's where I stay. And I weighed myself, and I'm like, holy crap, I've lost all this weight. Well, her scale sucks. I didn't lose any weight. I got back to Chicago, and I'm like, oh man, her scale is wrong. I didn't lose any weight. I was so happy. I ate a whole pizza in celebration. So
All right, so let me move on because actually we still have time. I have checked out a couple of places that I want to like maybe we can go to these places and do the podcast at. Um, but I checked out a couple of places that are chocolate makers, and I one of them I've been to before, and I bought candy there. But I did not realize that they make all the chocolate on site. And the other place I went to because I had heard that they own a cocoa farm in the Philippines, and they make all the chocolate from their own cacao plants. And so I've been checking out these places, and it was really interesting, and it was really interesting for me for two different reasons. One of which is the people who own the farm in the Philippines are our age. They're the same age as us. One was a lawyer, one was a nurse. They I think they inherited the land. I can't remember how they got the land in the Philippines. They inherited the land, but it was not making any money. I think they were growing coconuts or some crap. And so they decided they're going to plant cacao trees. And this is going back in 2019. And their plan was that when it takes 5 years for these things to start producing, and they're going to be ready to retire. and boom. And so that's what they were going to do. Then the pandemic hit, and they realized that farmers of cacao plants do not make any money. Um, they make very little for their cocoa beans, and the chocolate makers also make very little. They have a 10% profit margin or whatever. The middleman, the people who buy the cocoa beans from the farmers and sell them to the chocolatiers, are the ones making all the money. And so they decided that they were going to open up a chocolate store so that they can use their own cocoa plants to make chocolate. And during the pandemic, they hooked up with a guy who's a famous chef at what's that, the culinary school downtown? I can't remember, downtown Chicago. And when everything was closed up, they actually hired him to come out and teach them um, how to make chocolate. And they learned how to make chocolate, and they make this beautiful, fantastic dark chocolate that they what do you call it? They sell in their store. And when I was talking to the guy, he goes, "Yeah, this was my plan for retirement, and now I'm working more than I ever did before." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you're working for yourself." And he was very happy doing what he's doing, and
Hmm.
it was just an
So,
interesting
what are the
story.
names of these businesses?
Um, that one is Chalks and Boxes, like CHOC apostrophe S, and Boxes on Cumberland and Lawrence, so it's not too far from us. And the other one I went to was this young guy who he had some kind of accent, I can't remember, or I don't know if I should say. And he uh, decided to change his life, and I don't know where he got the money, but bought this Illinois nut and chocolate up on Dempster. And he gave me a tour the other day. And I mean, this guy is excited to be alive, let alone alive making chocolate. And I'm like, how do you not gain a ton of weight? He goes, I've gained 40 pounds since I bought this. I can't stop eating
Wow,
chocolate.
wow, it's that would be terrible. That would be like if I owned a gumbo store.
But
Just,
he went,
I would just
he did 10 minutes on the fact that they do chocolate bars, but they can put your logo into it. And
cool.
he said what they used to have to do was they would get a logo on a computer, send it out to a company, they would make a mold, and then they would make the chocolates out of the mold. And he just bought a machine that can make the mold there in store. And so instead of waiting weeks for it to come, they can now do it overnight. And so he was all excited about it. And it's,
Oh, I
I
like
just,
that.
and I love talking to people who are excited about the business they're doing. He was like, "Here, try this," and he's showing me their molds and how they dip the chocolate in there and they put it on the vibrating table, and then they have to we let it cool and this and that. It was a lot of fun, and I told both of them, I said, we'd like to come and do like a just sit here and talk for an hour and record it, and maybe we can take the camera around and take some pictures. And I don't know, we have to figure out how to splice it all together for a podcast, but I think it would be fantastic.
Do they have like a dining room area or something? Or
No, they have stores. It's not like
hmm.
they're walk-in stores.
Well,
So
we definitely have to get a Jeremiah Creek chocolate bar for sure.
yeah, I wonder if we can do our logo. I'll send it to him and see if we can do it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be hard. I can give him whatever kind of files he needs. So
Yeah, but there's color. Although they do color.
that's
It's
right.
amazing
I
they do
can take
colored
off.
chocolate.
I can take all that out. But yeah, I mean, they could probably do color. It's probably painting it or something. I think that'd be cool, but it's probably going to be expensive. So
Well, you know what? I'll send it to him and I'll ask him.
hmm, I think it'd be neat, man.
I might go
This
pick up
says
some.
our time left is 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah,
that
because
makes
we don't pay for the extended Zoom meetings. So
my life easier.
yeah, me too.
Uh,
I got a roast in the oven from a cow named Griffin that was
Fucking
alive just
Griffin
the other
owes me
day.
paper. Owes me paper. All right.
Well,
Cow is a bitch. I'm glad you
I
killed
took a
him.
pound of flesh from him.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It's funny. A friend of mine has a farm, and so this year, instead of just selling the cows, she slaughtered a few of them, and she's offering friends to buy some of it. So I bought a few cuts of meat And it's pretty funny that my daughter will not eat the meat from a cow that she actually has met.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean that kind of changes things. I think if I'd petted a cow, I wouldn't want to eat a steak from it. Although I probably would.
Would
I
you?
got
Yeah, I mean,
when I was down in Alabama, I'd been so busy I hadn't really been able to. Usually I'd take the family out to dinner or something like that, just as a thank you for putting up with me and everything, and hadn't been really been able to do that. So this time I was like, you know what? Let's have steak night. I'll cook I'll prepare the steaks. My nephew Jake, and he'll cook them, and because he's really good at it, and so it's great. Well, I forgot that normally they get like little thin steaks, and I went to Costco and I got New York strips for everybody. they, they were like, "Hey, we said steaks, not roasts," and nobody finished it. But it came down to me and Jake in like in a war of finishing the steak, and that guy is about the size of a rope. He is a tiny human, and man, I got to give him credit. He finished the whole damn thing. Was that a story, or did I miss
yeah.
something?
The Chicago cut. You tell them that's a Chicago cut of steak.
Yes, that's right.
That's not a
Can I
roast.
show off? Can I show off my hat before we go?
Yeah, yeah. We got 4 minutes left. I just speaking of hats, I just bought a Hamburg, which
All right, all right. Is your hat nearby?
no, it's not. It's upstairs. I
Oh,
forgot to
okay.
bring it
All
down.
right. Here we go. I'm
But
gonna put on my hat. Ready?
all right.
Ready?
Oh yeah, that's nice. I do
What do you
have
think
a
of that?
bowler like that. But yeah, that's a
This
nice
is a.
band.
Isn't that great? This is
You
So
got
my
the
part of my family is Coushatta Indian. All right, that's a part of the Alabama Nation, but they're relocated from Andrew Jackson to Louisiana. And then we got a. How do I do this?
you right back up a little bit. There you go.
There you go. So the big one is an eagle feather from my brother-in-law. That he got it from an eagle. He gave it to me, and the two little ones are feathers from the costumes at my both of my nephew's weddings. So it's like
Oh,
family stuff. And then this band, they made that for me while I was there. Because check
wow.
this out. I don't know. There's no way you're going to see this, but it's so hard to see it.
It's
But it's
focusing
got
by your face. You got to put it near your face. Not don't push it. Don't put it close to the camera. There you go.
it's got
Oh
Chicago
yeah, the
on there.
Chicago flag.
Yeah. So I still got to tack it on and everything, but man, that's a badass hat.
Yeah, that's a nice hat.
I already like this hat, but now I declare it best hat ever. I think for sure, man.
Do they have to make it like a specific size to go around the hat, or does it like adjust?
Well, this one's the size of the loom that they were using, which was a little bit small. So on the back, it's just leather bands. But so I mean, they should probably get a bigger loom. But I mean, I don't know what they. I think they usually use these for making wristbands and stuff. Or actually, I don't know what they use it for. But it
Oh,
took hours and hours and hours to do this because it's each individual beads placed by hand, and it's not like none of it's machined. It's done bead by bead. There's 1,000 beads on here.
and it was hard to
So
do
I
with you
was
standing over him, going, "Hurry up, work faster."
yeah, I was like, is that the right place? Did you do it right?
Oh
Quality.
man. Well,
All right. So for the next thing, I want to talk about businesses that people dream up near retirement that they actually finally realize is a terrible idea. All
all
right.
right. Well, I suppose, yeah, okay. Like, all right, that's interesting. I'll
Yeah,
have to think
like
about that a
you're
little
like,
bit.
oh, this will make us $1 million. Then you get really close to the idea of actually doing it. You're like, oh no, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah,
This is a
I don't want.
ridiculous idea. Oh look, people are coming in while we're on the air. So it's cool. Come on in.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah,
We're about
come on
to
in.
we're about
I
to
have
end
1 minute
anyway.
and 27 seconds left, but it's my attorney, everyone.
She was blurred out.
Yeah, no one can see you, but you can say something.
The dog let her out her.
The dog let her out her. Okay. All right, Dave.
All right.
Go take care
So
of your roast, man.
So listen up for the next episode of Jeremiah Creek, and if anybody out there sees Jeremiah Creek, please let us know where he's at. We
Tell him we
hear
miss
from
him.
him sporadically, and yeah, so we're on the lookout for Jeremiah Creek.
He owes us money.
All right, all right. How do I end this thing now? We need an
I'll
outro
just
music.
keep
All right.
talking as if, oh, good, the dogs are fighting outside. That's wonderful. If you
Oh
can
yeah,
hear that.
this is
So,
bloody.
and
Good turn
anyway, so
bloody.
here's where I found out where Jimmy Hoffa is buried. First, you got to go down 66, about 28 miles towards the
All right,
west,
I
and
canceled.
then
I turned
you
it
turn
off.
left on. All right, I got to go because my dog's going crazy.
All right, see ya.
Call you later.